Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang at approximately 6:10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I am here with Morsels of a Thought, episode number 1732. We have been coming here this many days in a row to meet and discuss morsels of a thought of wisdom. Sorry about that, Bell. I am hopefully that I am speaking these things from other people, all this wisdom from other people, hopefully that we learn the right things to do for ourselves. When we read from other people's knowledge of their life experiences, sometimes we get a lot of wisdom. And wisdom means knowing the right thing to do. Actually, doing it is the cause for virtue. We create virtue this way. So, anyway, here. Okay, so now we're on leadership in chapter 5, part 3, the leadership. Ideally, if you are the finder in your practice, you spend your time, energy, and activities to grow the revenue for your practice. Everything else should be delegated to your team members. The minder is the person who makes sure that the loan process runs smoothly by providing exemplary customer service and communication, collects and reviews financial documents received from the borrower, and reviews the documents. The minder is the person who is doing all those activities because you can't serve your clients properly by spreading yourself too thin. Your minder needs to be the person who is scheduling appointments, who is watching and looking at your emails, and is responding quickly to requests by borrowers while you are building your business and bringing in more loans. The minder is also the conductor of your orchestra, ensuring all, quote, musicians and, quote, team members are working at their best and are fully informed about their roles. This includes safeguarding that pertinent deadlines are met and the loan is always moving forward. Then there's the grinder, your database manager and or marketing director. They prepare mailers, database entry, packages for classes and seminars, posting on social media, etc. All the roles on your team must be defined, and you should match a person's capabilities and personality with the defined duties. If you're just starting out to assemble a team, one way to do this is to keep a list of activities. Start writing down all the various tasks you do. This goes way back to my tenure when we used to write down every 15 minutes what we were doing. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that whenever you do something, write it down, whether it's printing, reviewing a pay stub, meeting a real estate agent one-to-one, or attending a networking event. Whatever the activity or task, take notes so that you can later categorize each into a finder, minder, or grinder role. Quickly, you'll find that you've already developed job descriptions for each. Delegate effectively for max results. You have to match people and roles. It won't help you advance your practice if an assistant doesn't thrive in their roles and duties. You also must set them up for success by training them for the job and then effectively delegating the work to them. You have to trust the team you put in place so that you don't hover and you don't try to control every move they make. Remember, they are there to take work and activities off your shoulders so you can focus on one thing, building your practice. You know, some of us need lessons on how to delegate. It may not be something that comes easy to you, or you may have difficulty letting go. Look at delegation as an opportunity to free up more of your valuable time. When you delegate, look for tasks that are preventing you from accomplishing your principal role. First, pick these things to delegate. Here are a few statements to assist you in recognizing when delegating is needed. What you don't know how to do, what you're not good at, what doesn't directly generate money for you, what's falling through the cracks, what you don't have time for. It also helps to identify the things you don't like to do, the things you like to do, and the things only you can do. This exercise will help you sort out what activities must be put in your team's hands and what you keep in your hands. There are a couple of other important points about delegating to keep in mind. Don't be a bottleneck in your business. Get out of your team's way. If they know their role and what it is they're supposed to do, let them do it. Don't hover and don't try to insert yourself where you shouldn't be. It's really annoying when people do that, you know that? When somebody inserts themselves into where they are not supposed to be, but they pretend that they are, and it just wastes it wastes other people's time. So, by the same token, don't expect your team members to do what you want them to do if you haven't set up a system for them and you haven't trained them. Don't just fling activities and assignments at them if you haven't first sat down with them, explained the activities placed in your process and practice, and talked about the results you expect. Now, I've made that mistake before because I was about 20 or 16 when I was working in my parents' office, and we had a relative come and work, and I simply said, "You have to do this," and I didn't say how. I could have sat down with the adding machine there and told her how to load the paper and then how to use the three fingers for the buttons, which would be the fastest way to use them. And I didn't do that. So you want to know that you want to know that you have to sit down with each of the small activities that you need the person to know. First, the author says here, you must establish the framework and let them work within the system and expectations you've developed. We are reading Launch, How to Take Your Business to New Heights by Jen Duplessis, D-U Next word, Plessis. It is a mortgage lending, a mortgage broker's do all, and it is so full of wisdom. I tell you, she's been doing it for over 40 years. And when she wrote this, she had been doing it for over 35 years. So, okay, so she says, first, you must establish the framework and then let them work within the system and expectations you've developed. Otherwise, you'll just end up throwing something at them to do, watching them as they flail, and then end up doing it yourself. This isn't maximizing your team. One effective way to train your team members is to document everything you do and how to do it. Within the framework of your system, establish procedures and the results that must be achieved within these procedures. A handy way to explain something once and then not have to go back to it again is to make a recording of it. For example, use screen capture software such as Camtasia to record yourself doing an activity and talking through the activity's steps. You only have to do this one time as you do it, as you record it, and then it's always available for any team member to review or for new team members to watch and learn from. We have uh, I'm helping out at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Burlingame, California for a October 3rd and 4th rummage sale. And we have this little pricing gadget. It's a doohickey. It's not a doohickey, it's a gadget. And it's big. It's about this big. And it's like you squeeze it and it clicks a sticker onto the object that you go like this. And the hardest thing to do is reloading the new stickers. So I have actually recorded it before, and I have had it and then we had a woman who is Sandy's daughter, Karen, she helped out yesterday, totally got me on track with it. And so I know now how to do it almost. And it was because Auntie Susie had uh, a paper that had a drawing on it. So sometimes you need to keep those instruction booklets that come with the gadgets you own. Not that you'd ever put price tags on things at a mortgage lender's office, but just to understand that these are the sort of things you have to do. Chapter 5, Part 4. Ensure a clearly defined handoff. The big idea is to make a clean handoff of a loan to your minder, capital M. Don't constantly hover as the loan moves through its processing. You need to be finding new loans. Oscar Wilde says, experience is simply the name we give to our mistakes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Do I have a lot of experience? You know, I, yeah, a lot of experience. Something that many loan officers struggle with is conducting a solid and clear handoff of the client to their mortgage planner or assistant. I'm frequently asked, how do you perform the handoff of the client to my team? It's an important question. As the finder in your practice, after you've worked with a client to structure the loan and the loan terms and gain their commitment to work with you, it is imperative that you hand off the loan and the client to your assistant or team for the next steps so you can return your attention to finding more new business. In other words, you need to make a smooth handoff to the minder in your practice. Capital M. Get the loan in place. Whether you have just one assistant or a team, you must have a smooth process to accomplish this transfer and, of course, confident in your assistant or team. Now, when I map this type of wisdom into my own life, and if I am not a mortgage lender, I have ways of seeing these things as something to transpose onto my life. For example, if I have friends and we're trying to put together photo albums, and I am buying photo albums and I'm basically finding photo albums and I'm having one person sort the photos and one person arrange them into the albums, that's a lot of work. I have 13,000 photos plus another 50,000 photos. So I have about 65,000 photos, maybe more. So the digital ones are the 50,000 of them, but the first 13,000 are on photo paper. So I would need lots of photo albums and I would like to buy some. So anybody out there want to sell some photo albums? Back to the author. Author Jen du Plessis says, let me tell you briefly what works for me. You don't have to do it this way, but this is how it works for me. When I receive a referral from a referral partner, say a real estate agent or a financial planner, I work with the client exclusively. My goal is to lead the loan development as the certified mortgage planner. There's no one else who can do that better on my team since not everyone on my team is a certified mortgage planner. CMP. I work with the client to structure the loan and the loan terms. And once they have chosen the best loan product and terms to meet their needs and goals, I then have a quick conversation with the client, sharing the importance of my position as well as upselling my team members because of their expertise in a specific area. In fact, if I were to get involved with answering routine questions, I would most likely make a mess of the entire process. Once the client finds a home, makes an offer, and goes under contract, I will quickly reach out to the client to make sure that the terms have not changed. discuss any changes that would affect them, and provide next steps. From that point on, I refer the loan over to my minder. He takes it from there. He prepares all the disclosures, sends them to the client for signature, and manages their timely return. In the odd case that I'm meeting the client to sign disclosures, my minder will provide them. From receipt of the contract or decision to refinance, I'm not involved in the loan until maybe we lock in the rate. I'm usually involved in that either the very beginning, I'm usually involved in that either in the very beginning or as we progress through, depending on what's happening with the market. We are reading Jen du Plessis with Morsels of a Thought of Wisdom, episode 1732. Because when we get wisdom, we know the right things to do. When we know the right things to do, we have wisdom. When we actually take the action to do them, that's called virtue. And we're bringing more virtue into the world with Morsels of a Thought. Who would have thought that I would do this? I am really glad I am doing this. Okay, so a clean handoff wins, says the author, Jen du Plessis. You can visualize this process. A clean handoff wins. You can visualize this process as a relay race. In track, the baton handoff is where relay races are won or lost. The transfer has to be clean and consistent every time, just like in your practice. You run the first leg of the race, then hand off the baton to your minder. But you need to remember to let go. No one likes a helicopter loan officer. I think this transition is where problems crop up. You hand the baton to your assistant, and they may have to drag you along with them because you're not willing to let go. The handoff is a little sloppy because you don't give clear guidance, and the baton drops, and the whole race is a mess. Or you hand off the baton, but then run alongside as a helicopter loan officer, making sure that everything goes smoothly. Perhaps as bad is that you hand the baton to your assistant and then walk out of the stadium instead of watching what happens in the next part of the race in an effort to support your team. You certainly can hand off the baton and watch it go round the rest of the track, progressing from your minder to your processor to underwriting. If anything gets dropped or things are moving too slowly, you can certainly jump in at that point to guide your team and bring them back from their drifting. But your job is to start the race, hand it off cleanly, go back to the beginning, and start the process again. That is the essence of lead generation, and that's really what the finder's role is. Make a clean handoff, get yourself out of the paperwork, and stop hovering. Get back to finding new business. So if I'm looking for photo albums, let's say, an analogy, I'm looking for some supply or tool or utensil that I need. It's photo albums. I need to find good ones, looking good ones. And the two people that are working with me are the minder and the grinder. The minder would be the one that decides that decides that the photos go into the album, and the grinder is the one who arranges the photos. And you know how I feel. This is this is crazy good. Jen's jots in this chapter. After you work with a client to get a loan's structure and terms into place, make a clean handoff of the client and loan to your assistant or team. If you trust the system you have in place, stop hovering over the loan processing and get back to finding new business. It's like, look away. You handed it off and you have to look away toward your next goal. If you don't trust your system, improve your system. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay, let's see. Now we are going to start in section 5 of chapter 5. We've got the big idea. Make sure you have a system in place to communicate regularly with a client as their loan is working on its way through the process. The customer's perception is reality. That's by an anonymous quoter speaker. Uh, The period between a client's decision to work with you and closing can be a sensitive, stressful, and overwhelming time for a client. This is precisely when communication with the parties involved, external and internal, is so crucial. Please don't go dark during this time. It's so easy to move on to the next loan, but your work isn't done. Everyone wants to stay updated, even if there is no news. If you go dark because you think you don't have anything to tell them, that's not good. It's going to have a negative effect on the client's experience, a client you probably worked very hard to get. Do you remember those talent shows where the noise level of clapping by the audience sent the needle, the arrow all the way to one side? The less you communicate with everyone during this nervous and trying time, the more their love-o-meter will start pointing the wrong way. When you're communicating and keeping everyone informed at each milestone in the process, the needle on their level-meter will continue to tilt in the right direction, registering high satisfaction. When your communication is lagging, the level-meter needle is sagging. It might sink all the way back to zero, at which point you have to start building trust all over again. I also call this rising and waning faith in you the trust account. Any communication with a client or referral partner either deposits or withdraws from the trust account based on the experience the client just had with you. So, this means that whenever you talk to someone, think of the words you say being detrimental or constructive to the relationship you have with them. When you speak, you want to speak constructive thoughts that even if there is some form of constructive criticism to be involved, you make a solution, a proposed suggestion alongside of it. That is when you give non-detrimental criticism to somebody. You say, oh, let's say you have a large plate and you want to put food on it, and there's another person who has a smaller plate with some food on it. But the large plate doesn't look good. It's really for men, not for women. Nah, nah, nah. Person goes up and says, you know something? This is a really good plate to use. And gives the plate over to the other person. Okay, okay. Back to the author. I also call this rising and waning faith in you, the trust account. Every communication that you or your team have with that client through the whole process, every communication, the tone of the email, responsiveness, availability, whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood, the digital manner in which you communicate with your client either makes deposits or makes withdrawals from that trust account. Now, this is really about trust, the figurative term trust. It's abstract. It's not actually an account at a bank or a financial institution. It's actually trust in each other as people. Slow down enough to recognize when your client may be becoming frustrated. Maybe they received the disclosures and no one on your team called them to review. Instead, they may ultimately have to painstakingly work through the endless pages on their own. Perhaps no one has called them for some time, and they don't know where they are in the process. That levometer is sputtering and sagging as you go dark, and that is not good. And if something is going wrong in the process or something is held up, that's really the time to keep them up to date. If you know when you'll have an answer, call them and tell them when it will be. Okay, so we are going to continue in this section, chapter 5.5, Don't Go Dark. Next week, on lunch, how to take your business to new heights. Okay, old Kinderhook.